This video examines the process of calculating seasonal indices when there is a trend present. I provided a workbook on the Moodle website that has this data on it, the data that you'll need to make these calculations. If you don't have that workbook downloaded and open, you should go out to the Moodle page, download that, and then open it. If you don't have access to the Moodle page, then you should set this workbook up. Starting from here, we don't need this. This is how the data is given to us in the text, but that's just there for reference. You should set it up with these titles all the way across. Don't worry about the subscripts. They're there to help relate this information to the formulas. And don't worry about the formulas. They're there for student use. The first step is to calculate the centered moving average. The centered moving average requires that we use this formula. What the centered moving average does is, you can see centered here is the first period in which you want to create an average. So you need 2 periods before and 2 periods after the centered period. So we can't start here. We have to start in the third quarter in this example because we need 2 periods before. And we'll need to end here in the second quarter because we need 2 periods after. So we'll go ahead and do this. Equals, parenthesis, and then we'll take 0.5, 1/2 times the first period plus the second period plus the third period plus the fourth period plus 1/2 times the fifth period, that whole quantity over 4. We say 4 even though we have 5 periods selected. We're going to use 4 because we're only using half of the first period and half of the second period. So that totals up to 4 periods. That gives us our centered moving average for the third quarter. And if we just copy that down, we get the centered moving averages for each of the periods. Now we need to calculate the seasonal ratio, which is the sales for that quarter over the centered moving average for that quarter. Just copy that down. Then we need to calculate the seasonal index. You have to enter this equation twice, for the first and second quarters, and then for the third and fourth quarters. So we'll go ahead and do that. You can see that the seasonal index is the sum of R sub Q over N. We'll take and add up the R sub Q's for the first quarter, plus here's another one, so quarter 1 right here. There are 2 of them, so we'll divide that by 2. We can do that for the second quarter as well. See, that works. But it won't work for the third quarter, so we have to retype our equation. I'll take the sum of the R's for the third quarter. Here's one, here's the other one, over 2, and then I'll copy one more, and there we have the seasonal indices for each quarter. Now we'll take those indices and copy them over, and we could link to them if we wanted to. I always advocate linking, so it'll take you a second. You're going to have to point to that so that you get the first quarter. This is first, second, third quarter. you can see, here are the values as they're laid out. Because we've straightened them out, you have to do that again. And then one more time. Now we have the indices in place. We're going to de-seasonalize the data, which simply takes the sales over the seasonal index. So we'll take the sales value, place that over the seasonal index, copy that down. We have those then de-seasonalized. Now we can go ahead and put together our forecast. Now there's a little bit of a trick to this. This is the reason that I created time here. It's a forecast for a trend that's over time, and so we need the periods listed out so we can use them in our calculations. First, we'll calculate the slope. We're going to use the de-seasonalized data as the y variable. So we use the slope function in Excel. It asks us for the known y's, which we're using our de-seasonalized values. And then it asks us for the known x's, and we're using time along the x-axis. So there's our slope. Now we need our intercept. We'll use the intercept function in Excel. Again, the known y's, we're using the de-seasonalized data, comma, and then we'll go ahead and get our time, our x's, our values for the x-axis. And we have our slope and our intercept. Now we can go ahead and do our trend by finding y hat by taking the intercept b sub 0 plus the slope b sub 1 times the period for which we're forecasting, which is going to be here, 13, 14, 15, and 16. We're forecasting the fourth year by quarter. So we'll go ahead and take b sub 0, make that absolute, plus b sub 1, make that absolute, times time. We'll leave that relative, so when we copy it down, we'll get our trend forecast. There we go. Now we'll go ahead and get our seasonal indices again. I'll just go over here and grab those, copy those over, copy these down. Now our final forecast is simply y hat times our seasonal index. So I'll take y hat and multiply it times the seasonal index, and then copy that down. And we have our final forecasted values for the next year, year 4, for each of the 4 quarters, which are actually, though, periods 13, 14, 15, and 16. That's how you calculate the seasonal indices for a set of values that demonstrate a trend, and then apply those seasonal indices to the trend forecast for future periods.